What's up, Soul Warriors, and welcome to Recovery Soul Foods Saturday Night Soul Session with me, your old pal, LC. I'm grateful to be here. I'm solo tonight. No amazing guest, but don't worry, that's going to pick back up next week, and we got some outstanding guests lined up for you for this season of Recovery Soul Food. If you happen to miss last week's episode, it was amazing. Kim Bellis of Sober is the New Cool joined me right here on Recovery Soul Food, and we had the most amazing talk, just the most amazing discussion with the most amazing human being. I love Kim Bellis, and I'm completely a fan. And so if you missed that, make sure that you go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/recovery soul food, and check that out. You can also check it out here on Facebook as well, Recovery Soul Food, or my personal page, Lona Curry. So tonight, I wanted to do this solo because some of you that know me have noticed that I've been away for a little while, that I just kind of completely disappeared. And for some people who, really, for some people, maybe you got angry with me, or maybe it hurt you. And I want you to know that that was not at all my intention. But tonight that's what I want to talk about. Why I stepped away from a very thriving social media platform that I'd spent 4 years building, and what it really means to me to be an online recovery slash mental health and wellness um, content creator, and what it should mean to all of us. So I am calling all content creators to come to this video because we need to talk. It must be said of why I stepped away in honor of my own personal healing, development, and growth, and what our true responsibility must be when we are here, giving advice, sharing our hearts and our lives with people that are vulnerable in recovery, and what our responsibilities really need to be, and I think what we can and really should not do. Also, we're going to get into talking about some of the amazing things that I went through in this past year and what has really brought me into being a healthier, even though it doesn't sound like it, but just a mentally, physically, and spiritually healthier human being, and why I am so just reunited with passion and purpose to be back here with you for this season 4 of Recovery Soul Food. So I'm certainly ready. I hope you all are ready. So let's go. All right. What's up, everybody, and welcome. I'm so grateful, honored as always to be right here in this seat, bringing you, well, my own personal and spiritual awakening and recovery journey, and just everything I've learned. And I love to share it with all of you beautiful and amazing human beings. So I'm going to say a few hellos right now. We got Pamela Topchian in the house, my beautiful co-host and friend from Transgender Mentor, in which you can catch there on YouTube as well, here on Facebook. And we have a private group, so check her out. We got Mary Huffman in the house. What's up, my love? We got Kim Bellis, the beautiful Kim Bellis of Sober is the New Cool. I'm sure you already know her, but go check her out and follow that page as well. And if anybody else is here right now, StreamYard only shows me so many. Make sure, hey, Jen Brownlee, so good to see you, beautiful soul. Make sure that you give StreamYard your permission if you want your comments seen. And if you just want to watch in silence, that's cool too. I'm grateful that we're here. So I started this thing out 4 years ago because number one, I was not a part of a 12-step program, and I was in, probably my 3rd year of recovery. I was going into my 3rd year of recovery, and I just didn't I wanted something to come into my home, and I thought through all my white knuckling, "What's up, Karen?" Through all my white knuckling through my recovery process, I thought there had to be a better way, and I was truly intent on bringing a better way. I thought that it would with so many of us, "What's up, brother? I love you." Anthony McCauley, you guys gotta check him out. He's got some best-selling books out on Amazon. I love you, I love you, I love you. But I really felt like I thought something was missing, and I was intending on trying to come out in a way and share some things that I wish had been there to be shared with me. Little did I know there was a little small budding online community of influencers and a lot of people looking for the same things that I was looking for. And I was honored and grateful to be a part of this crowd. We all were fired up with passion. We all had the same intention and love for recovery, love for people, and just really almost desperate to be there for people in their very time of need. Because let's all face it, doesn't matter what, modality of healing or recovery that you're involved in. When shit gets rough at 2 a.m., there's not generally anywhere to go. And so I wanted to make sure that, there was something there. And so many of us were like that as well. And so I loved being a part of that community. I loved really finding my own purpose because most of you that know my story know that I was not the person to do any type of public speaking. I changed my college major, I think, 7 times to avoid taking speech class. I actually dropped out of high school to avoid taking a speech class. I mean, I never wanted to be seen. And all of a sudden, this passion and purpose just pulled me to come out of that shell because it wasn't about me. And that's really the gist of what tonight's discussion is about, is the fact that it's really not about us. Over the years, we have grown. Our reach grew and grew and grew, and so many amazing people just kept being inspired and joining this content creator like family. And I would love to see that. People just like me, people that would never think to do it, but had like this God-given purpose in their heart that would not let them keep it to themselves. We've seen some good, we've seen some bad, and unfortunately, we've seen a lot of relapse. As my recovery journey kept going on and I kept going deeper and deeper and deeper, because let's remember, my promise to myself first was that I was not going to do the clean and sober thing. That's not sustainable. You can't just deny yourself your your coping skill of choice and not change anything within. That will always and inevitably lead you to relapse and continue the cycle. And maybe you will come out of it and you might not. See, that's the point. We deal in people's lives. We're not dealing in their physical fitness. We're not dealing in the recipes that they cook in their kitchen. We're dealing in real life and lives. That's why it is important for us to check ourselves. And just to be a throwback to the 90s, so we don't wreck ourselves. I watched fame come in and begin to hit people and tag people, and I got a little taste of it myself. And so everything that I say tonight, I need you to understand I'm no different. The same things I started seeing in myself and that I see in our community, they are human aspects. They're not bad people aspects. They're human being aspects. The ego is sneaky. It is absolutely sneaky, and it will sneak in on you and disguise itself as purpose. And before you know it, you're checking every view, you're checking every social media account you've got, and you're gaining your worth from the views, or you're damning yourself to hell for the views you didn't get. And it's sneaky. It sneaks up on you. All of a sudden, we find ourselves in the same situation, getting hits of people's praise, finding our self-worth in who believes we're doing a good job, and killing ourselves. And this is quite literally, we've lost creators, y'all. Killing ourselves when someone doesn't agree with our stance or decides to punch down on us and judge. And as my life was beginning to take a very drastic but necessary turn last year, I felt like I needed to honor it. And had my life not began to, aside from social media, start to go into its next phase, which to the naked eye looked like destruction. It looked as if we were losing everything. But to a healed eye and an awakened eye, I knew that we were being prepared for the next stage. And I desperately wanted to honor that. And if it had not been for that, I may not have recognized how I began to use my platform as a way to feel like I was still necessary. See, I told you this is going to get raw and it's going to get deep, and I don't mind exposing myself because it happens to all of us. All of us. And it's okay. It's okay if we're willing to look in the mirror and call it out. It's not okay if we turn a blind eye to it and continue to grow our platforms, and it doesn't, it's no longer about what it set out to be. And there's nothing wrong. Let me reiterate this right now. There is nothing wrong with building a brand, making money, and being paid for your expertise in this area and any area. I need to preface that. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's not what I'm talking about here. I encourage each and every person who has dropped into the pocket of their purpose to take it as far as it can go. Absolutely. I just want to make sure that we're still doing it in a healthy way, that we are still keeping in the forefront of our reality those in which we are talking with and to. It's hard sometimes to remember at, say, 8 years of recovery, what it's like for the person who's coming in on day one. It's hard sometimes to remember that. Like it's a purposed situation that I have to go back, or I see someone and I'm reminded of it. I never want to lose that. Like, that's always been my prayer. Never let me lose that day one feeling, so that I can always connect with and relate to someone who's in day one. It's the hardest and yet best decision a person will ever make, to take themselves from a very unhealthy path into a healthier path. But if we leave it on the surface and we only talk about certain modalities of recovery and we only use snazzy taglines and content that stays on the surface, we're not doing people a true service. Because let me say this, if you are still in the position where you are dependent upon outside external entities, people, happenings, jobs, relationships, or whatever to make you happy, you are walking a very dangerous line. Very dangerous line. It means that the stability of your clean time that you think you're standing on is not actually all that strong or solid. And it's filled with trap doors that will take you under, meaning you lose a job and you're done. You break up with a relationship and all of a sudden you find yourself in sheer crisis. And unfortunately, due to, I think, some of the most amazing things that have been developed in the recovery community, let's just say, let's use this for an example of peer support. Let's say peer support only requires you to be clean 1 year before you are now on the front lines, guarded behind nothing. No degree, no office, no wall. You are on the front lines of people in crisis every single day. You are almost being set up to fail because you are walking hand in hand or dancing super close with the proverbial devil. But it can be accomplished and it can be done. But it means just because we're working in the industry of recovery doesn't mean we stop working on ourselves. I am 8 years in recovery. I still seek counseling and mental health wellness and use my own tools every day. I see a counselor, a therapist every month. I'm still constantly studying, reading, and doing self-work, what we like to call shadow work. Because your shadow self, that small child that experienced that trauma, that middle schooler that experienced bullying or was a bully, that high schooler that was neglected or ostracized, that early 20s who was so deep in addiction that they did things that compromised who they felt they were. Those people all still live within each and every one of us. And as they're still living there, they're still wanting their voices to be heard. And if we are just covering ourselves up with snazzy taglines and information, and we never listen to the songs of our heart, and we never listen to all the parts of ourselves that are doing their best to get our attention so that they can be integrated and healed together, then we are teetering on that external happiness place. We've lost so many people in this time of this pandemic. So many. To suicide, to relapse, overdose. It hits everybody in a different way. It was hitting me. And sometimes we don't even realize how much until some time has passed. I found myself being so tied up in the business side of content creation that I was as my personal life was doing its thing. I was desperately trying to hold on to this other life where I felt important because I didn't feel very important in my personal life. And I was reaching out and I was doing so many things. It's like I couldn't say no to projects, and I had some amazing projects that I was working on. And yet at the same time, I had some stuff that I knew I had no business doing. But I just wanted to fill that void and feel relevant. I had some amazing friends around me, and at the same time, I had some that it wasn't that they were bad people and that we had a falling out, but I had some that just had, it was time. And unfortunately, some of the people that I ended up losing touch with, I didn't want to lose touch with. I just was losing myself. And I vowed to never be a hypocrite. And I didn't want to have these surface relationships with people. I made this vow that I wanted my soul tribe to be around me. And I am so grateful that I went through that. I have got the most beautiful people in my life. Pamela Topjian, Anthony McCauley, Martin John Garcia, Eric McCoy, Kim Bellis, and so many of you. And when we as a community lost my great friend and admin, Yvonne Maxwell, it really opened my eyes to the people we were serving. Mary Huffman, that's right. Mary Huffman. All of you. But it opened my eyes to the reality of the people we were serving. Yvonne Maxwell died, and we still don't know what happened. Yvonne Maxwell was a woman who submersed herself in recovery service and yet died alone. And it just brought it home for me. These were not just thumbs up and hearts on videos. These were real, live people who are clicking on one of our videos in the worst times of their life and searching for something real. And I'll tell you the truth, if we're talking about the same stuff now that we were talking about when we first started out, we're not doing ourselves or them many favors. It means that we're not growing. And we've got to let human beings know that it's absolutely okay to grow. And we better watch ourselves. And I'll tell you, it was so angering for me to watch some of our larger creators come on this platform and many others and give some of the most dangerous advice I had ever heard in my life. Advice that shamed people that were on MAT, giving statistics that were absolutely not true, punching down on people just because they could. And while a lot of us can see through things that are fake or can recognize ego when we see it, there are many vulnerable human beings that cannot. And it's why we do have to be careful. We have the responsibility of life, and we must come at that from the most respectful and loving way possible. What's up, Sarah Jane? I have been witness to some of the most beautiful growth in some of the most beautiful people on this earth over the 4 years that I have been in doing this stuff. I just feel just so blessed to be able to watch people grow into themselves, grow into their power, realize who they are on this earth, that they're not some down and out junkie, that they're not a once an addict, always an addict, that they are a being perfectly and wonderfully made, created in the image of love. We've shared our hearts. We've shared tears on these platforms. We've shared experiences. We've shared devastations. And I'm so grateful to have been a part of it. Had I not stepped back and learned, and in some ways relearned, how to know what I'm worth, how to become even more comfortable in my own skin, not just externally, but spiritually. How I got to the place where I am worthy with or without, whether 20,000 people watch a video, 20, 2, or none. That when I hit go live or record on anything I'm on, that I know I'm leaving all of myself, all the beauty that I have to offer right there on that video. And how it lands and where it lands, that's not up to me. That's up to something much higher than me. But it seemed like we got to this place where we were downing people that didn't think like us, where we were tearing people apart that didn't recover like us, where we were judging people for their modality of recovery. And I say, anything that keeps you in a position to be able to do your inner healing, to stay out of the streets, the jailhouses, the hospitals, the ambulances, that keeps you being a productive and happy member of families and society, and having a job and loving your life, I'm all for it. Whether I think it's the perfect way or not, who am I? And I want to say this: MAT saves lives, period. Period. Now, how one uses it and goes about it, that's on them. Our programs a lot of times operate in what I call criminal manners because they fail to tell people that this medication is but one small part of your recovery. This is not the recovery. This is but one small part. And we care enough about you to help you through all the rest. That's part of what I do. I help mentor and coach people that are going into or in MAT recovery, to teach them how to claim their own recovery and to advocate for their rights to get better, not to just be a number in a chained line every morning. And I love that. MAT saved my life. I could not be sitting here had I not gone back to MAT when I did. But I had to go back with a new mind. I had to go back with a new purpose and a new intention. And that intention was that I was going to fight for me because I had to get better. And I was going to force the program to help me get better. But a lot of people don't know that. But we can't, as creators, get on huge social media platforms and tell people that they're wrong or that they're even more addicted than they were on the streets, or shame people that find their own way to recovery. It's not our job. It's dangerous. We hurt people when we do that. Addiction is a disease of shame. It is a disease of unworthiness. And we can't help people do that to themselves. Many of us, we put down our substance, our habit of choice. It don't matter. Every one of us has pacifiers, as Martin John Garcia calls them. Every one of us, at some time or another, turn to something to escape our reality. When it becomes a constant escape, that's an addiction. Doesn't matter if it's Netflix, online gaming, alcohol, crack cocaine, anything, heroin, whatever. Doesn't matter. But we shame substance use. We shame alcoholism. And we don't have any right to shame other people, you know? But as you are in the pursuit of your best self, that's all I want to be here for. And more than it is me staying, I love you so much, Sarah. More than it is me staying on top of the views, or staying on top of the platforms, I want to be here as a witness to see people become who they are. To see people throw down that shame. To say, that's not true. It's a lie that says I always have to be this way. But once we throw all that stuff down, we still got to look at our patterns. What are the dangerous patterns that are keeping us still in the behaviors of addiction? Because addiction just talks about the substance. It's the person and the traumas and all the survival patterns that are still left with us when we put down that addiction. And that is the real issue. It's the real issue before we even talk about abstinence. We got to talk about what are the patterns that keep you living in a loop in your life, living in the same relationship, living in the same type of job, living in the same survival mode, from one survival situation to the next, just over and over and over and over again. We honestly only turn to our addictions to escape the shame and heartache of our patterns. That's the honest truth. See, we think with the external mind that, oh, if I put down all these things, then my life will get better. And then when it doesn't, we think, this isn't working. I can't do this. This is not for me. I'm going back to my coping mechanism. I'm not like you all. I can't recover. If you think that I'm saying this and it sounds pretty authentic, it's because it is. That's exactly what I always said. That's exactly what I always tried. I'll put this down and everything's magically going to be fixed. And then everywhere I went, there I was. I had to learn how to stop depending on other people for my happiness. I had to learn that staying in the role of a victim kept me powerless. And it was the true definition to powerlessness. It's me giving away my power in anger, in victimization, in unforgiveness. Asking questions like, why me? Why did I have to have this shitty childhood? Why did I have to be born confused in my body? Why did I have to be God's little joke? because that was my belief system. And you see, your subconscious, it has no ability to to read positive or negative. It has no ability to listen to the words I don't want. It only listens to God's little joke. It only listens to your belief systems. And therefore it says, okay, let's bring more of that. So if you energize chaos, guess what? Your life is going to stay chaotic. And you're going to feel like you're completely out of control, just standing there getting beat up by life. And then you get to roll back into the pattern of, I'm a victim. See, I can't do it. I've tried. I do everything I tell me to do, and I can't do this. We have to start. We have to start with changing our inside. If you're a person that's in the midst of using right now, I say to you, don't be in shame. Don't be in shame for a survival skill that has kept you alive, basically. And don't make a resolution to quit. I'm going to quit all this tomorrow. And I'm going to do this. Make an intention to start figuring out how and where you're going to go to start healing the inside. Healing that in which takes you to that every time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time if we don't go within. It's a waste of time if we do not harness our power. It is a waste of time if we do not integrate and heal all of those parts of us that are living still inside of us. If you think there's not a hurt 7-year-old inside of you, you are wrong. That child still lives in you. If you think there's not a confused teenager still living inside of you, you're wrong. That one lives in you as well. And oftentimes, we're shaming those parts of us, and we are being completely ungraceful to those parts of us. Because every time something goes wrong, the first person we go to beat up on is us. And we got to start going deeper in all this. And I think we as creators, I think we have a responsibility to share these types of things. We have to have substance to our taglines. Recovery Soul Food's tagline is get up from your give up and create a life you love. And you know what? I'll stand right there behind that tagline and I'll teach you how to do it. But it ain't going to be easy. And I cannot give you a magic antidote to make your life all better tomorrow. And I also cannot lie to you and give you a promise that if you stop using today, that your life is going to automatically get better, because I would be a bold-faced liar. You got to start recognize your patterns, because yes, if you stop using, you have a greater chance to have your life become something that you are loving, that you wake up excited to live every day. Because if you're still continuing to use, you run the risk of not waking up for that next day's healing. And that's the sad truth. That's the sad truth. And that's why I say, those of us that are recovery and mental health content creators, we've got more of a responsibility than, say, a fitness creator or a style creator or a makeup tutorialist or, a crafts person. We are dealing in people's life, and their lives matter. And I'd get here every day just to remind you how much your life matters, regardless of what you may believe right now. If you keep getting up and continue to look for your most beautiful and best life, I promise you, you will find it. If you begin to energize the things in your life that you truly want versus simply energizing the things that you don't, or if you decide that all of your life is going to be in recovery versus just your not using, then you can make it to the human being that you are already. You don't have to go find yourself. You just got to remember yourself. That's it. We're out there finding our purpose, but really, what if this healing is your purpose? What if this is the purpose? Is for us to become healthy, whole human beings right now in this time in history on Earth. I mean, here we go with our public service announcement. If we keep dividing apart from one another, and we keep letting ourselves be programmed and told what to think, where to go, what to be, and all of those things, and we keep buying the lies where we stand against each other and watch the orchestrators of this just sit back and watch us like a bunch of kids on a school ground, then we've missed the point. We've missed the opportunity to heal ourselves. And as we heal ourselves, we heal those around us. We've missed our opportunity to do this because we get tangled up in entertainment. We get tangled up in surface level snazzy taglines, and we forget that there's a whole life underneath the surface. There's the analogy of the iceberg. What you see is just the tip, but the real substance lives underneath. And that's the same for you and me as human beings. We are in an amazing time to be alive on Earth. We are watching a shift in the whole consciousness of humanity happen right here where we are. And we just have to decide, in all honesty, how much of ourselves we want to let be a part of it. I'm all in. I'm all in. What looked like losing my home, fearing being homeless, like having to know my wife, as most of you know, she woke up from being over medicated by mental health doctors that were not interested in her as a person, just throwing more medicine on her issues. She woke up in January of 2020. So all of a sudden, we had to get to know each other. We were going through all of that. Not to mention COVID. Then not to mention vaccinated or unvaccinated. I mean, all of this was happening. And yet, because of the work that I had done internally, I knew I was looking at an opportunity to move into the next phase of my life. I knew I was moving into the next grander phase of my life, and I was going through a time of healing, and it did not feel good. And I struggled to put all the tools that I had been talking about into practice in my own life, because I'll never ask you to do something or suggest something I would not do or do not do myself. In the middle of this wild transition, I mean, it looked like shit, but it was such beauty. There was such majesty and grace involved in all of that. And I'm so grateful that it happened. And so when I tell you that I'm back here with you and that we're in season 4 of the Recovery Soul Food podcast, and I'm going to continuously bring you some of the most beautiful hearts and humans on earth, I mean that. I'm back with you. I'm so grateful to be here. And I'm really eager to share with you all of the things that I've learned over this last year. I mean, we're going to cover topics like how to destroy worry in your life. Because, boy, let me tell you, I got great doses of that lesson in this past year. Loads of it. And so I want to talk to you about real things that are happening in your life. And I don't just want to give you some empty, fancy taglines. And I want to always remember, in honor of Yvonne Maxwell, that each one of you that tune in at any time are real life human beings going through things, losing people, losing false stability, worried, maybe in crisis, maybe living the best day of your life, maybe creating your dream life, maybe harnessing your power, maybe 3 days clean. I just want to remember that for every one of those thumbs up or those hearts, that's a real life human being behind that. And again, I just want to call out to all of our creators, especially our larger creators. And I just want you to take full responsibility for what you are putting out, the content that you are putting out into this mental health and recovery community. And I just want you to recognize where your ego may be taking you into a dangerous place. And I just invite you to do that work with yourself. It's hard work. When I stepped away, at the point that I stepped away, our reach was 40,000 people a day. 40,000. I had spent years building such a platform. And it was the scariest thing I ever did, honestly. One of the scariest things I ever did. But in that moment, the scariest thing I ever did, to back away. And I dealt with that fear. And it didn't go away easily, and it didn't go away quickly. It went away gracefully over time. But when we feel that fear, we have to understand that there is an insecurity living within us that is asking to be seen. It is not there to just torture us or keep us in fear. It's that fear's way of getting the attention that it deserves. Because you can't not shake me at this point off of my stability. All those things that I thought were stable were what made my life. we're but a house of cards, and we're easily taken down. And sometimes getting the opportunity to start over from rock bottom is the greatest opportunity we can be given, because it means we can take what we've learned from the past and build a new, more solid foundation. I know who I am, and I can tell you with everything inside of me, I love who I am today. I need no one to tell me that they approve or disapprove. Uh-oh, we just had something go down over here. Mercury retrograde. But I don't need anyone to tell me that it's okay to be me, that it's okay for me to live my life and find my recovery the way I find it. I don't need that. I don't need anyone to tell me I'm doing a good job. And I don't need 40,000 people to make me know that I'm important. And neither do you. And so we're going to start this whole thing over. Recovery Soul Food. We're going to start building this thing again from the ground up. And we're going to build it on such a solid foundation of love, honor, and respect. Let me tell you, I was addicted for 22 years. I have put myself in situations that absolutely take my right to judge anyone for anything at all completely away. And therefore, I will not. I will not judge another human being for anything. This is their journey. And that's what we have to understand. That's what we have to understand. I love you all. I truly do. And I'm so grateful for you spending this time with me. And there's a lot more that I want to say. And there's, there's some specifics that I could really get into. But, I asked for this to be divinely inspired. And I asked to just be a vessel to be spoken through. And so I feel in my heart that we're at the place where we've that this is it. And so I hope that you will join me next time. Look, we've got some amazing guests coming up. We've got the guys from Of Substance. I've gotten to know a lot of Instagram creators and even TikTok creators. Recovery Soul Food is on Instagram, of course, and TikTok. And I'm just so grateful for all the new people that I am getting to know and getting to expose to so many beautiful creators. And so I've got Dora Gosling from Soberoso coming up. I mean, we've got so many amazing, amazing guests coming up. Kim Bellis is going to come back on. Pamela Topjian is going to come on and talk about her new book. I didn't come this far to only come this far, which is out now and available on Kindle and Amazon. I'm going to get my brother back in the chair, Anthony McCauley, who's got to come and talk about his new books and all that he's doing. And I'm telling you, it's just going to be a season filled with amazing human beings, beautiful stories, a lot of power, a lot of hope, and a lot of soul, baby. This is nourishment for your recovering soul, I guarantee you. So, I thank you all so much for joining me. If you've ever wondered if hypnotherapy can help you in your healing modality, if you've ever wanted to go deeper and find out what actual hypnotherapy and holistic healing can do for you, then make sure that you reach out to our beautiful partner on this podcast, which is Breakthrough Hypnotherapy. And if you tell them that Recovery Soul Food, the Transgender Mentor, and RLC sent you, you're actually going to get a complete full session. And that is along with the it's the sample session. So Breakthrough Hypnotherapy gives you a free sample session in your first consultation. That's a 15-minute session to let you just kind of see what it's like. But to get a full free session, that means that you are going to get actually two decent, beautiful sessions, and you're going to know by the end of that time if hypnotherapy is for you. Listen, our subconscious is what runs the majority, 95% of our daily actions, reactions, and programming is run by our subconscious. Now, subconscious sounds very new wave and hairy fairy, so I'm going to put it like this. When you go to sleep at night, you don't just pee the bed or go to the bathroom on yourself, and you don't just lose all your faculties while you're sleeping. Well, that's your subconscious. That's its job. Its job is to grab what you believe and make it happen. And so going through hypnotherapy, it's not a stage show, it's not a magic trick. This is real life, going past that conscious, that monkey mind, we call it, that thinking mind, and it goes straight down to the subconscious so that it helps imprint and implant that true healing, that new self-image, that new self-worth. So I urge you to get with www.hypnobreakthrough.com, mention Recovery Soul Food, and get those free sessions. Hey, what have you got to lose? 45 minutes of your life? Psh, come on, we give that to Netflix. Give it to yourself. Your worth, your best healing, and your best life. So, until next Saturday, I'm LC. I love you so much. And I want to just say right now, we have some of the people in our community that are suffering through COVID right now. I've been sick with a head and chest cold for the last week. I do not have COVID, thank God, but we do have some of our amazing, you know, people in our community. Miss Bonnie Blades, we love you and hope that you get better soon. I know, I think Maddie Jablonski, my brother from another mother who's had this, and I pray for you too. I want you to get better, sir, and just try not to let the fear overtake what this actually is, and just be careful not to let media scare you so much that you make yourself sicker than you have to be. Remember, the mind is a powerful thing, and I just believe that every single one of you, and if there's anyone else suffering in our community that I don't know about, I know Tammy P is very sick, and I love you, my sister, and I hope that you get well with what you're going through, and we're just surrounding all of you with the most positive, healing, and loving energy. I pray for your quick recovery, and just know that I and all of us truly, truly, truly love you. So until next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm LC, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys. I love you.